How the Tortoise cracked his shell. Long ago, Tortoise had a smooth, shiny shell and walked proudly among the animals. One day, the birds were invited to a great feast high in the treetops. Tortoise was not invited, for he could not fly. Tortoise begged the birds to take him along. He gathered fallen feathers and tied them to himself, pretending to be a bird. Believing his trick, the birds carried Tortoise up to the treetops where the feast was held. At the feast, Tortoise ate greedily and took more than his share. The birds soon realized they had been tricked and became angry. They threw Tortoise from the treetops, and he fell hard to the ground. When Tortoise landed, his smooth shell cracked into many pieces. And that is why Tortoise has a cracked shell to this very day. Why a snake crawls on his belly. Long ago, Snake did not crawl on his belly. In those days, Snake walked proudly on strong legs, moving tall and swift through the land. Snake became boastful and laughed at the smaller animals, thinking himself better than the rest. One day, Snake was warned to be humble and kind, but he did not listen. Because of his pride, Snake lost his legs and fell hard to the ground. From that moment on, Snake could no longer walk. Slowly, Snake learnt to move by sliding across the earth instead. Though lower to the ground, Snake became quiet, careful, and observant. And that is why Snake crawls on his belly to this very day. Why the sun and the moon live in the sky.
Long ago, the sun and the moon lived on the earth, close to all living things. They were close friends with water, who often visited their home. One day, the sun invited water to come and stay a while. When water arrived, she asked softly, "Is your home large enough to hold me and my family?" As water entered, she slowly began to rise, filling the house more and more. Soon, there was no room left, and the sun and the moon climbed onto the roof. But water continued to rise, and the sun and the moon had to climb higher still. At last, they found safety high above the earth. And that is why the sun and the moon live in the sky to this very day.
Why lizards always nod their heads.
Long ago, Lizard lived peacefully among the other animals. One day, Lizard was given an important message to deliver. As Lizard traveled through the village, he met many animals along the way. Each animal stopped Lizard and asked him questions. Lizard nodded his head politely and listened to everyone he met. Because Lizard stopped so often, the message arrived late. From that day on, Lizard nodded his head before moving on. And that is why Lizard nods his head to this very day.
Why do crabs walk sideways? Long ago, all animals walked straight ahead. One day, the sun called all the animals together. "I will give a gift," said the sun, "to the animal who brings me the tastiest food from the forest." Lion ran quickly and returned with great pieces of meat. Antelope brought the sweetest fruits. Then it was Crab's turn. Crab moved sideways through narrow paths, slipping between roots and rocks. He gathered small, hidden foods that the others could not reach. When the sun tasted Crab's gift, it smiled. "Though small," said the sun, "your gift is clever and perfect." From that day on, Crab moved sideways. "Why sideways?" asked the other animals. Crab smiled and said, "Sometimes the straight path is not the wisest." And that is why the crab walks sideways to this very day. Why frog lives in water.
Long ago, Frog did not live near the water. Frog lived on land with the other animals. He was loud and careless, always hopping wherever he pleased. One day, Frog splashed through fields and homes, ruining things the other animals had worked hard to build. The animals became angry and warned Frog to be more careful. But Frog did not listen. When the animals came looking for him, Frog became afraid. Frog leapt into the water to hide, thinking it would only be for a short while. In the water, Frog found peace and safety. Frog decided it was better to stay close to the water. And that is why Frog always returns to the water to this day.